What's poppin', Tub Nation? Welcome back to Tub Takes. This is the VGC video podcast where we go over what's been making waves in the VGC scene. Today I am joined by my co-host Adi.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tub Takes. It has been raining nonstop for like the last 2 weeks here in the DC area. It has kept going and going and going, and so it's a rainy day in Arlington. How are y'all doing?
I'm doing good. It's what's funny is we don't have the rain here despite it being Seattle. And also joining us today, no camera, so can't really. For the people asking the chat, what does Brilliant Brown even look like? You're not going to get that answer today because not featured on stream. Your favorite player never to be featured on stream this season, William Brown. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's actually also been very rainy up in New York as well. Very on and off weather, with thunderstorms out there, like out the ass. But been doing good though.
This is so. We're going to be talking a bit about Ice Rider today, hence the meme, hence why we're having Billy on. Billy has been using Ice Rider for pretty much all of the restricted formats this season, and myself as well, so I guess I can help a little bit on that part. And otherwise we'll talk about like VictoryRoad, some other upcoming tournaments, and this episode is going to be covering Ice Rider entirely. We'll get to that at the end. That's going to be the last subject of the day, but kind of lumped some together because there isn't otherwise a whole lot of going on. But if you guys have any questions in the chat, feel free to mention them in Twitch chat. We'll be watching as we go. And otherwise, if you're here now but you aren't going to be able to watch the whole thing, check it out on YouTube. We're going to be posting it on YouTube tomorrow. We always post it one day later. And if that's your thing, then you can just check it out on Adi's YouTube channel. Maybe the command will work. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Maybe Nightbot's gone.
Where'd Nightbot go?
I had to take him out back and shoot him. I don't know. Basically, just look up CK49 on YouTube if you're here now. Anyways, we'll figure that part out. But let's go ahead and launch into it. Talking about first the Smogon tournament upcoming. The date would be a good thing to mention. There we go. It is this weekend, July 19th, starting at, I think it's converting to local time for me. I imagine this is a convert to local time feature. So
yep.
6 a.m. for West Coast. Let's go. Another 6 a.m. tour. But actually though, very exciting. This one is notably on Showdown. So if you don't actually have a Switch, but you've still been following VGC, playing casually just on Showdown alone, or if you'd much rather play with a team that is a little too annoying to get together in game, this is the tournament for you. Or if you're just lazy, if you're just lazy and you just like playing on Showdown, Showdown is pretty goated. So pretty cool that it's going to have a $200 prize pool start. I think that maybe there's going to be more people contributing to it. I think it's otherwise free to enter. And an avatar is also on the line, which I know that some people enjoy collecting those. You can get a unique avatar through NPA. I know that that's something that you've done as well, right, Adi?
I have, yes. We want NPA, so we get to make our own avatar.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I don't know that much about NPA anymore. I try to keep my knowledge about NPA to a minimum. So, yeah.
He vetoed the NPA episode. I really wanted to do it when we drafted him, when we won. I would have loved to have done it, but
now's the time, actually. Host it during the summer.
But it's so cool that Smogon is getting more involved in VGC tournaments. I think a lot of us grew up in an era where Smogon was the competitive outlet for Pokemon, or when Smogon was much bigger than VGC, and now I think it's starting to get to the point where VGC is maybe even bigger, if not comparable in size. I know Freezeye likes to post ladder data for how many VGC games are played every month versus Smogon games are played every month. But I really love that, we don't have that forum anymore like we used to in Nugget Bridge. It's great that Smogon is kind of stepping up, taking that role, and it's a great place to talk about VGC. I know they have a Discord server. I get a lot of questions from newer players asking, where do you go talk about VGC? I think Smogon VGC's Discord server is a really good place for beginners. And then also, they just they're hosting tournaments, and I think it's really cool. And I love that these communities are coming together like this for NPA, for these big live tournaments. And I really hope that you participate in these because I would love to see the VGC scene continue to grow on SmallCon. It's also a great way to integrate new players into VGC and get people who are otherwise good at competitive Pokemon to start coming to these live tournaments as well. So yeah, love seeing this, and I hope this does really well, and I hope that they continue to host these big VGC tournaments in the future because they're great tournament hosts, and the staff there is pretty awesome.
I will say, or I'll ask now just in case, but any of us planning on participating in this one?
I would like to play in this one.
Nice, I think I also will be playing in this one.
Awesome, perfect. I'm on the class that will not be joining, unfortunately, just because my parents are coming to town. So I would love to be playing in this one. If I had even with the 6 a.m. start time, I would still have made it work. But I've got family visiting. So anyways, yeah, somebody mentioned in the chat, how does Calyrex hold up against that horse game? Currently, you know what? I bet a lot more people are playing the horse game than VGC and Smogon combined, dude. That horse game is getting too popular. Okay. I wish I was better at Photoshop, because I had, like, all kinds of cool ideas. I was like, we're gonna get, like, Anime Girl Calyrex, or sorry, just Glastrier, Anime Girl Glastrier, in there. It's funny how long you can go without saying the actual horses' names. Like, I go like weeks and months at a time without even thinking about the name of the horse, even though it is like Calyrex combined with another Pokemon. But anyways, tangents aside, definitely enter the Smogon tournament. I'm happy to give them a shout, and I'm hoping to see lots of people enter it. But yeah, also with that, I don't know if VictoryRoad announced their next tournament yet. They've been hosting one like every weekend this summer so far, so the metagame just keeps moving along and along and along. And they hosted this one this past weekend, and it was won by, all right, let's get right to it, not Juan Salerno. Juan Salerno technically did not win this tournament, and I have a picture of the bracket somewhere around here. Let me grab that. I actually should have had that open in advance. 1 second. Right here. It's not the complete bracket, but it shows you some of the players. And Carlos here ended up winning the whole thing. Carlos coming out of nowhere.
Congratulations, Carlos.
Yes. For people that might not recognize the name Carlos, I'm sure that this is maybe the name of a real person somewhere out there. But yeah, this is not a real person. And VictoryRoad actually has a really harsh stance on alting. They do not like people alting in their tournaments. They do not like people playing on a name that isn't theirs. And so they actually DQ'd this person, which I guess we were talking about this beforehand about keeping them anonymous or not. I don't see any reason to. It was like, because I also, before we even get into it, I don't think they actually did anything that wrong, aside from break the rules of VictoryRoad's tournaments, which they have a policy that they probably state somewhere in their tournament signups that you cannot play on an anonymous name or anything like that, and that's fine. But yeah, it was Oliver Escalin, OE. I'm just making sure I didn't like get the person mixed up. That's right. Anyways, they ended up winning the whole thing, but I don't know. I don't know if they got like the prize money or anything like that. Juan, since you're here and since we're just kind of outing people, you also played in the tournament on an alt, did you not? But you just decided that when you got found, you were like, all right, yeah, I'm Juan. I'm playing on, like, you were, because I think you were in the tournament as James from the US, if I'm not mistaken, or am I thinking of somebody else? And what's funny is there's probably more people. This is just like one big game of Among Us, I guess. Like, who's actually an imposter? I don't know. It was probably happening in some of the earlier VictoryRoad tournaments. This is the one where it just kind of like really blew up, especially with the winner being somebody who was trying to alt. And yeah, lastly, I don't know if it'll show up in the standings anywhere. Because yeah, there were 6 and 1. Are they just like gone?
They're not in the standings. Yeah, they got dropped or DQ'd before day 2.
Yeah, somebody else played on an alt using a Covert Cloak Lunala team. And let's go ahead and just head over to the North America International
Oh wait,
Championships.
and was it also with like Life Orb Koraidon? Is
I
that on the
think it
team
had
too?
Life Orb Koraidon. I think
Um,
it had an Ursa
yeah.
Luna. I think it had a couple of other
Um,
things that looked a lot like this. Um, but I don't know. It could be anybody. They didn't want to reveal
hmm.
themselves, so they decided to just get DQ'd and move on with their day. Um, oh, okay. So you're using in-game name, James. Got it. That's where the mix-up came from. Dude, we got to talk about this guy. We'll get to that guy. So, with that mix-up clarified, the team that actually did go all the way and win the tournament in like battles and whatever, is this, and it's actually pretty interesting to talk about. One that I feel like was on the rise last week. We were talking about it, kind of like just falling short. Teams like this, and it's specifically Fairy, Shadow Rider running Draining Kiss paired with Clefairy. Just after the Shadow Rider episode where we were talking about is this going to stick around or not, Adi, what are your thoughts?
You can go back to the tier list episode, I think, and you can hear me hyping up the Miraidon Caloric Shadow combo. I've been talking this up as a potential combo that has some legs for a little bit, and I think it's actually like I think it's pretty good. I really do. I think it has some weaknesses, but as far as they have more synergy than you think. And the Choice Scarf Miraidon is actually like very good into all the things that go faster than Shadow Rider. It outspeeds a lot of things that are Choice Scarfs to outspeed Shadow Rider. So they actually have more synergy than you think. And then also the way these CSR teams like to play, they really like to they're just trying to pivot the Instant and the Rilla and their fake outs and their redirection friend guard next to their CSR. So guess what? Miraidon is also the perfect Pokemon to go and sit there and cycle with that. So I think that like this combo actually does quite a bit. I think you were asking specifically about Draining Kiss, but I actually am like more skeptical about the Draining Kiss set because and I did see this team. I did test the team out a little bit. I think it's pretty strong. I think it has some notable weaknesses, but the Draining Kiss thing, it just feels like you're playing a game of roulette in a lot of ways because it is really good with Clefairy to get your health back. The downside is it's really bad in the mirror because you take 60% from a Life Orb, Astral Barrage, something like that. You get two shot. I think you maybe can live with Friend Guard up, but you're taking a lot of damage, and so you're actually like pretty bad in the mirror, and you're only like beating them in the mirror if they are Terra Dark. But if they're any other set, then it's quite bad. And so when I was laddering, I already saw people adapting to this, running Terra Normal, going back to Sash Terra Ghost, and then all of a sudden you're just significantly worse in the mirror. So I don't know. I don't like the fact that Caloric Shadow is turning into this sort of like game of roulette where all the different Shadow Riders find different sets that beat the other sets. Where Draining Kiss is really good into Dark, but Dark is really good into the Psychic sets, and the different Psychic sets are good into Draining Kiss. But yeah, it's kind of where we're at. But that being said, I do think CSR Miraidon. I think it has potential. I think it did really well, and I think being able to pivot into your Incineroar or your Clefairy really quickly, or your Rillaboom really quickly into opposing Miraidon teams is actually just very good.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Billy? Do you have any thoughts on this team that ended up taking the tournament?
I do think that notably another thing about Caloric Shadow that's changed very drastically is there are a lot. I would assume on this team as well. There's a lot of non-max speed Caloric Shadow where they almost just try to opt out of the mirror. And one thing that does kind of stand out is Scarf Miraidon is typically very traditionally good into Caloric Shadow. So it's almost like you are going to use your other restricted to beat the mirror, and then if Caloric Shadow is just good enough to beat everything else, then it's just a solid team. And I do think this team is very good at doing that, where it's very difficult to kill the Shadow Rider if they don't have a very fast nuke button for it. And Clefairy and Cinderella just make that extremely. They give people a extremely hard time to do. And one-shotting a very bulky Caloric Shadow is not easy to do, and then it's clicking Draining Kiss, and next thing you know, the Mon is right back up to full health. So I do think it's a very scary team, and definitely a team to be preparing for.
Okay, I see this link that Juan linked
I
in
posted this
chat.
in our
Adi,
chat
you
too.
also linked it, and I was curious what it was. What is that? You want me to pull this up on stream?
Yeah. This is just Pokémex is one of the big organizers in Mexico for VGC tournaments, and I saw them retweet the results of this tournament, hyping up that Mexico won the tournament,
Oh
which is really funny in hindsight.
no! I get it now. I was like, oh no, that's tough. Oh, so sad. Yeah, so just to clarify to further expand on it, like nothing, like it was against the rules. So like I do think that it's totally fine that there is like punishment for this, especially when you were asked. This isn't like a I don't know. Like you probably should have just came out and said it. Like the thing that bothers me about this whole thing is if why do you want to alt all the way to the finals of a Victory Road tournament? That's the part where I'm just like, okay, I want you to know, like, this is my message to Oe personally. Like, if you won this and I didn't know who you were, this still made it onto my list of teams to be ready for Worlds. Like, I wasn't gonna be like, wow, that was just Carlos, that was just Carlos. I don't even know Carlos. They're not even going to Worlds, so I guess I'm not gonna prepare for this team. Like, I don't know.
I think to an extent it also kind of is counterintuitive because if someone that you don't know comes out of nowhere and wins a tournament, you kind of pay attention a little more to a
Right.
team that no one who like knows who said person is. So I feel like it also does kind of just contradict exactly what you're trying to do, as in, oh, I'm gonna hide my team, but instead you just give it more exposure because, oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's a nobody won with this team, so now I'm gonna pay more attention to it.
And more than all of that, now you've Streisand affected it, right? Where like
Yep.
now people this is the 4th out of 12 Victory Road tournaments happening before Worlds, something stupid like that. Like no one was actually paying that much attention to it. This will fade from people's memory, except now everyone will remember that
Yeah.
you won getting DQ'd.
Right, like that you were actually really trying to keep this one under wraps to the point that you were like, "No, I'm still at alt" when they ask you directly, and you're like, or no, I'm not. Sorry, I'm not an alt. Sorry, I mean that. That I'm whatever. I'm Carlos. Uh, if he lost in top 8, he could have. Yeah, like it's definitely going to the death. But the difference between top 8 and first was like $700 because the prize money. That's the funny part that Billy was pointing out before we got on. Like, why did 8th not get any prize money? What like it's funny that they're like not really like explaining it on the page. Like they could just mention like, oh yeah, this person got disqualified, but instead 8th is just chilling here with no money just because we hate them. Like I don't know. So super goofy. Okay, but anyways, other teams that stood out from this tournament, I remember. So when I posted this picture in a Discord server, I was just like, it's over. Like it's just so over because like Shadow Rider, Shadow Rider, Shadow Rider, Ice Rider, Shadow Rider, Shadow Rider, Shadow Rider, Shadow Rider. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude! Like this is so depressing to look at. And I mean, so that is what you're seeing here. Looks like 2 versions of, I was gonna say the Marco team, but this is actually the Lewis team. Lewis using the Lewis team. Genius using the Marco team. The Kinugawa team. This is actually just the Kazuki team from NAIC, so also nothing new. Marcus also on the Clefairy train. So if you were doubting its success and that you thought it was just a flash in the pan. I actually skipped over Juan's team because I've baited myself. Because I was thinking we already talked about first, but we didn't. We'll come back. So Marcus's team was the Fairy Kiss, but with Zama. I also did not know he was Terra Dark in prison. Zamazenta. That's actually news to me right now. Very goofy. And Protectless Jugs, sure, why not? Quaza made day 2. Don't worry, we have way more exciting things than Rayquaza to talk about. That made day 2.
Wait, pull up the bracket again. Who did Marcus lose to? Surely you can't run Imprison, Terra Dark, Zamazenta, and lose the mirror. You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
The mirror.
Yeah,
he lost the mirror.
What?
Well,
all right,
also,
we know that's
Adi,
bad. You can't.
Also, Adi, you asked the question when we said that the whole top cut was CSR Zaba, so of course it had to be the mirror at some point.
No, because he could have lost to the Maridon.
Yeah,
right? He could have lost the Maridon CSR.
100%. No, that's good. That's fair. But yeah, he did end up losing to another Shadow Rider's on it. Now, honestly, like the thing is, if you get outsped on that, like in your Terra Dark, you can't get out of the body press. Like I could definitely see that causing some issues. But
I would imagine because it's imprisoned, it's probably Jolly's on Mazenta to be
could
always
be,
faster.
could be. Um, and yeah, we see again down here from Mao Harada, a very strong Japanese player. Not using it. Never mind. I thought just with, you know, you see a Clefairy, you make assumptions, but no, this is actually just regular old Psychic, Terra Normal, Shadow Rider. But still rocking the Groudon. Mao ran the Groudon at NAIC and cooked me. I'm gonna mention that every time we bring up Mao because you know it was just it still stings. Anyways, talking about the team that won with, you know, congrats on the big dub on first place. The team here is just what? No, it's like a couple of things. It's like a blend of the Kinagawa team and Marcus's team because there's no like Raging Bolt or Shifu or whatever in this slot, but instead the Smeargle that the Kinagawa team runs. But the rest of it is a little bit more like Marcus's team. Yeah, Marco's team, not Marcus. What is this link, Max? I think I'm looking at that. Unless
No, someone asked for the link to the.
For somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any other teams to mention? Nacho, I believe, was getting blown up on Twitter. Like we're just turning into a VGC drama cast. Is Nacho the one that was talking about, like, posted the AI art, and everybody was like, "Oh, dude, don't do the AI art." AI art. I think it was.
What is that Rillaboom set?
I didn't even look at it. You're right. It's Triple Grass. Let's go. Why not?
Oh, that is AIR. I did not see that. I have been apparently not been on VGC Twitter enough. That's crazy.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, here it is. Because also it was funny because they gave Calyrex wings and like there's just a floating piece of ice here. And then yeah, like got mega shit. What's the ratioed? Got ratioed in the replies. But yeah, don't do AI art, guys. Anyways, we're just talking about all kinds of stupid shit today. On any other teams that stand out in the top seeds, because I know that down below there's some. But...
you just scrolled to it, as a matter of fact.
All right, fine. Let's cut right to it. So, Campbell Hodgins.
We're skipping over the Raichu Milotic. We're skipping the Raichu Milotic.
We can go back. We can go back, but
no. I want to talk about the Raichu Milotic team for sure. Go ahead with this one.
Yes. So, Sawada with a Choice Scarf. It's actually Terra Ghost Blast as well. Fuck you, Shadow Rider. And every speed control. No, sorry, Struggle Bug's not speed control, but Electro and String Shot, those are speed control moves. Chlorophyll, Choice Scarf. It probably does get enough speed with all those multipliers. I mean, that's a 3x speed because they come in at different points. Chlorophyll doubling and then 1.5 from the Choice Scarf. So it is fast enough. Now, of course, is anybody ever going to use this seriously? No, but is it based that they made to day 2 with Solano? Absolutely. This is sick.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I don't know why it needs Electroweb and String Shot. I feel like that's redundant. I guess it doesn't have any good moves. Terra Ghost, Terra Blast, very funny. Go ahead.
I was going to say, probably for different types. Like, you can use String Shot against a ground type, and then you can use Electroweb against... I don't know what String Shot can't affect. But it breaks sashes. Electroweb will break a sash, so...
It does break sash, that's true.
I feel like Electroweb is always better, but you can get around Covert Cloak or immunities with String Shot.
Right.
So it's like those very niche circumstances.
Covert Cloak's a big one. I didn't think about that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, because it's
I feel like there aren't many ground types.
Speed. That's funny.
Yeah. Notably the one I'm pretty sure I don't know how String Shot interacts with or no, I'm thinking of Sticky Web because I was like, I don't think it interacts with grounded targets or non-grounded targets, and Landers wouldn't be grounded in the first place, but
Raichu Milo is something out of like 2015 or something. Like you're like, I hate the genies. I really want to beat Thundurus and Landorus. Go ahead and intimidate me. Go ahead and Thunder Wave me. I have the perfect counter in Raichu Milotic. GG.
I love this because it fits my beliefs about, or my beliefs before Portland at least, about how CSR Zama should be played. Where CSR is a support Pokemon. Sash CSR is a really, really good support Pokemon. Here it is. We see Encore and Pollen Puff. No second. I guess Pollen Puff is kind of a second attacking move. No real second attacking move needed. And you've got the sweeper is the Zamazenta with Iron Defense, which is the best Zamazenta set. You get to Pollen Puff. You get to set up. You get Iron Defense off. You power through all the people who are like, I'm going to boost my defense. Like, no, you're not. I'm still gonna beat your leftovers. Ice Rider. You can Leech Seed protect on me, and I'm just gonna get an Iron Defense up on you. Gonna power through it. I think I don't know about the Milotic and the Raichu. Don't really believe in that, but I did use Rhydon on my own version of this team, so I guess that also lines up as like a very similar Pokemon. It's even got the fake Grimmsnarl, the CTS Grimmsnarl, where it's got one screen and no and no, because you don't need to reflect. You're setting up Iron Defenses. But you need Light Screen, and I guess you only need it for 5 turns. So that's pretty sick too. This team is wild, but like it's easy to look at this team and be like, this is just crazy. I think it makes a lot of sense. Like it actually, all the parts do fit together in a way that makes sense to me.
7-2 went 7-2, so definitely pretty insane that it was able to do that despite it looking so unconventional. Let's have a look here. Anything else? Was this like, what was the screen tails? It's just the Awkward Sailor one. Okay, yeah. Dozo, Marcus Ko still rocking with Dozo, refusing to play anything else, so thrilling. Milo didn't have Scald. What did it have instead? Hydro Pump. You're right. Wait, it actually is just running all inaccurate moves for the sake of the game, dude. That's fire. It's called having complaint equity built in.
No coil either. No coil.
No, I bet. Okay. I'm doing a Milotic Calc for the Calc is right if we get to it. So
yeah,
got that one in. I think I know why they're running Hydro Pump.
Well, yeah, it definitely doesn't do enough damage without it. Let's see. This one's pretty funny. It's Gastrodon. You don't see Gastrodon every other day. We're seeing all the like bad water types of VGC years past. Gastrodon making an appearance here with Scarf Annihilate, and then otherwise just like Ice Rider Miraidon stuff. Which I guess we'll get to.
Yeah. I mean, like Gastrodon, not very helpful against Kyogre. I guess it's mostly just for Urshifu because, like, I don't know, the Milotic sorting Hydro Pump, so you're not going to get those guys. I guess it's for that too. But now, like, are you that scared of Urshifu when you have like a Miraidon and a Psychic Farigiraf on your team and a Rocky Helmet Incineroar on your team? It feels like they have a lot of pieces for it already, but I guess they really hate the Urshifus.
Yeah. They just wanted their Landorus to beat Urshifu, I guess. This is the Landorus that beats Urshifu. Okay. Let's see. More Sawaddle action. Ice Rider Terapagos. Okay. And then there is the Rayquaza. Power Herb, Clear Am, Psychic, Decorate, CB. I mean, this looks crazy. By the way, if you ever want to know how like good somebody was doing with their team on ladder, like about 50% of people participating in VR just leak their alts. I don't know why we're still doing this. Some people, I think, like troll it by putting like a fake alt in there, and I think that's based. But yeah, some people just put like their alt in there. So.
Okay, I've seen their GXE, and I'm no longer interested in this team.
This is what I'm talking about, Audie. Thank you very much. We are rank sweats a lot of the times when it comes to assessing a team's merits. Oh, is this just Narrit? Okay, of course there's a Rayquaza in day 2, because Narrit refuses to stop using Rayquaza. And Narrit might even be here in the chat. They often hang out for the chat. Maybe they're not here now, but you keep doing you.
That does look like it should be an Ice Rider. I wonder what the Ice Rider is not doing there.
Well, you see, Ice Rider doesn't learn a priority move, so beautiful, truly.
I respect the hustle. I mean, Narrit, I think, is not going to Worlds. They qualified and then decided that they couldn't go. I think all the way up from like Poland. So yeah, decided to troll everyone, I guess, during the World's prep season instead, and make sure you have your Rayquaza matchup if you're laddering.
Oh man, add it to the list. Okay, so yeah, the rest of it looks like a bunch of Actually, just a bunch of CSR Zama, CSR Zama, CSR Zama, CSR Zama. The high tables, the low tables. I think it's just at all the tables.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yuki's
last
team is somewhat
week
interesting. It's CSR
Yuki's team is
Zamazenta,
cool.
but it's actually it's a
Let me
pretty
go up to
interesting
it.
take on it.
Oh,
It
okay.
made cut,
Okay.
right? Oh no, it didn't.
I was gonna say, is this similar
I
to
feel like I have
Sohaib's
seen this team before.
but it's not similar to Sohaib's team because Sohaib didn't have these restricteds. I think he had a Maridon.
No, he had him right on.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm just saying
But
that
that
looks the same
team,
because the Cresselia.
well, that team. So Sohaib got his Maridon Zamazenta Cresselia team from someone, I forget their name. I'm sorry, but apparently they topped the best of one ladder with that team, and they posted a team report, and he showed it to me, and I can't find it now. But and no one had been using Cresselia, but clearly it had been working really well for them. And then so I made day 2. I think was 1 win away from top cut at NAIC with that team, if I recall correctly. So Cresselia maybe overlooked in this format. Maybe it does something useful, and it's cool to see it being adopted on other teams as well.
And my boy D-Knight, pretty cool. Also, this Cobra Cloak Chen Pao is probably the craziest thing on this team. Almost crazier than Cresselia. Like, what are we doing here? Icy Wind, Sucker Punch, Ruination, Taunt? Whoa. Chill.
It feels like they switched moves a little bit because the Ting Lu's running Lash Out and the Chen Pao is running Ruination. So it feels
True.
like they just alternated what move is supposed to be on what mon, except they ran Ruination on both instead.
Yeah, yeah. Because if you Ruination twice on the same turn, that's just a kill. You just do 50% and then 50% again. GG.
Of course.
That's the math adds up. All right.
So last week, I remember you were talking about how, because last week I feel like Maridon Ice Rider was everywhere in top cut of a couple of these tournaments. It was just like all over top 8. And then I remember we were talking, not on camera, and you were saying, yeah, like I think the metagame is going to continue to evolve before Worlds. Like we're going to have 2 or 3 more rotations where new things come up and people react to these new techs. And right now it's a Maridon Ice Rider meta, but next week it might be a CSR Zama meta. And you exactly called it that this week. Now everyone Ice Rider Maridon won in top 8, and CSR Zama has just taken over this metagame. And it'll be interesting because normally we do this every week. We see all these adaptations, and we look at every tournament result from around the world, basically. So we see the metagame change in real time. And now it's harder to tell, but it's clear the metagame is changing before Worlds. But you just have to look at these grassroots tournaments where people are maybe hiding their alt, maybe they're dropping early. It's harder to tell as the metagame changes, but it's pretty clear that there are a lot of things are changing over time leading up to the World Championships.
Yeah, and who knows? It might even just go literally full circle a couple of times before then. All of it comes down to just how many Victory Road tournaments there are. I mean, to be fair, Smogon's going to do the same thing. As long as the results are public, people are going to react to them. They're going to copy teams that they think they like. They're going to counter the teams that do well there. So, yeah.
Quickly too, I do think that it wasn't even a CSR Zamazenta meta adaptation in terms of there were a lot more people using it. It was just Ice Rider and Maridon did not have a very good conversion rate. If you go to the usage rates, Maridon and Ice Rider were number 1 and 2 in usage respectively, and their conversion rate just very drastically fell down, from day 2 and even more into Top Cut. So it wasn't even a people aren't using Maridon Ice Rider as much. It's they played it, but they were losing a lot more frequently to the Shadow Riders Zamazenta players.
Yeah, it is going to be a little bit of a mess trying to cover everything. Of course, it's becoming a bit more and more of a diverse metagame, and teams are figuring out how to, within their archetypes, diversify their matchup spread very well with the best of the best tools, and changing all the sets and stuff. So it is just going to be difficult to sit down across every single version of Shadow Rider Zamazenta and say I could beat every single one. We're even Fedecampo himself said that is not realistic. So he was saying that in his interview with Darsh. I definitely recommend that one if I haven't already recommended it on the channel. It was a good watch. Okay. Do we have any other ones that we want to talk about from this tournament? Otherwise, I think let's move on to talking about Ice Rider.
Nothing.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So, yeah. The plan here is to break down all Ice Rider comps because we were looking at it, and first off, Ice Rider Maridon is, of course, the number 1 Ice Rider comp, but after that, it definitely falls off a little bit. There's definitely, some good Ice Rider Kyogre teams, and so we'll go over those. For the rest, we'll maybe give a little bit of time to them. For following along, we're just going to go through the Regulation I tournaments chronologically and kind of just talk about how the Ice Rider teams evolved from there. So we might bounce between different archetypes as they pop up. But most of it will probably be talked about Ice Rider Miraidon again because it just has the highest usage, the most results. But Ice Rider Kyogre, Ice Rider Koraidon, Groudon, maybe somewhat Lunala because of the hard Trick Room stuff. We'll cover it all. And let's start by I guess we were covering grassroots tournaments in the last time, and those definitely had their influence, but because I don't have them all pulled up, I think we're just gonna stick to official tournaments for now. So that said,
and
go ahead.
Yeah, kicking things off. We have Dylan getting second place at Milwaukee with
Right.
a team that didn't, I think, I think it was maybe like a little before its time because people didn't really pick up on this right away. This type of Ice Rider team. But since then, we've seen a lot more Scarf Miraidon pop up, and we've seen a lot more Volcarona pop up. But it didn't feel like it was very present in the meta going into Milwaukee, and it certainly didn't feel like it going into like Portland either. But this team, I think, aged really well in hindsight. Looking at some of the tools that he used, he got all the way to second place, and with a lot of stuff people did not really see coming.
Mm-hmm. The thing about this team that I know it's so easy to again hindsight talk about this stuff is that we'll quickly see Iron Hands fall out of favor for Incineroar, but Iron Hands was very strong early on. The natural synergy between having Fake Out plus Trick Room with Calyrex and then Quark Drive benefiting from the Miraidon seemed too good to pass up, and Iron Hands gives you fast electric coverage in Trick Room if you're going to be setting Trick Room with your Calyrex Ice, so it made the Trick Room mode a little bit more potent. Where Iron Hands lacks is it doesn't add a ton of coverage outside of the electric coverage that Miraidon already offers, and if you want fighting type coverage, it feels like people ended up kind of pivoting towards the classic Urshifu. So, with that said, this is still a team that you're probably not going to see exactly this going into the World Championships, but I think Adi pointed out the main thing that was ahead of its time, which is the Choice Scarf Miraidon, because nobody was running it then. People didn't really run it much after, but now it's coming back. The OTS of Carlos, I can put it on screen for you for a sec. Just a quick screenshot or something. This is the one.
I'll give it a YouTube link, but remember this entire we talked about the team pretty extensively. If you want to go check this out tomorrow, it'll be on YouTube. You can watch the entire thing.
All right, so moving on though, next up is actually this is where Billy and I come in. Just kidding, it's Paul, but basically the same thing. And there was this version. So Billy, I'll throw it over to you because you probably know this team pretty well.
Yeah, I think so. So, this team was not really built it was kind of built for the tournament more so with with Wellspring not exactly being a common mon now, but it was very good at the time because it was Swordfish was something that was very popular and it was the only Kyogre team in existence. And so Specs Miraidon has always been good. It will never not be good because you put Choice Specs on the most broken Pokemon ever designed, it's always going to be strong. And while Iron Hands has fallen off, Volcarona definitely is a Pokemon that is very scary in the right setting. I think obviously this set is a little outdated because the Morning Sun was kind of cool at the time, but you definitely do not get the value from not having a Quiver Dance set with Volcarona. So it at the time it was a very strong team because it had very few poor matchups for early meta teams that weren't exactly refined and it didn't have too much development into it, but it ended up being very easily exploited by things like just opposing Incineroar can be very frustrating to deal with, and Farigiraf can feel like a very do-nothing Pokemon in a lot of environments. Especially if it's not positioned next to the right things, especially like Iron Hands, where it's very weak to Intimidate, and Incineroar is just not a fun Pokemon to deal with. So, definitely a team that would you could probably still do reasonably well with it, but in terms of how the meta has developed, it's become a lot increasingly more hostile towards Ice Rider Miraidon as people kind of overlooked it, writ it off for especially the first couple weeks of the format, where they for some reason every early format with Miraidon it gets written off when it's legal, but people start to realize immediately how insanely strong it can be, especially when combined with Calc size.
I'm glad that you mentioned the Fari as well, because yeah, that's the choice that is going to kind of come in and out a little bit here. It's going to quickly get shifted out of for Grimmsnarl, so we'll talk about that afterwards. And that's a lot of it is because Grimmsnarl did well on a similar team that Andrew Ding ended up winning with, and so like people kind of Michael Kelsch, of course, being the starter of that, but Darsh also did use that at this tournament and also has the QD Volk. And also has the leftovers Leech Seed Calyrex Ice, so ahead of the curve with that. For the rest of the stuff, you might see some of these on the teams or not, but yeah, this is where some of the branching paths of Ice Rider Miraidon start to appear, because this Calyrex is kind of aiming to do different things. Like, originally when people look at this, they're like, what do you mean? I'm just going to switch in my Incineroar against you and intimidate you, and that's going to ruin your whole damage output. You can't even high horsepower me to, get revenge on that. But then people learn very quickly when you set up a Leech Seed against a Zamazenta just how difficult this Ice Rider is to kill. It can set up a second Trick Room. It can use the Zamazenta against it, which normally Zamazenta feels very strong into these Clear Amulet Calyrex Ices. The high horsepower doing 35% doesn't bother it that much. But when it's just being a big like health snack for the Ice Rider, that's when it starts to actually really flip the script in a cool way. And so we'll come back to that one. But yeah, in terms of other teams from this one, go ahead.
Hold up. One more thing about that team that is maybe a little overlooked is that it's really one of the first Ice Rider teams to use Grimmsnarl. And as we're going to move forward, we're going to notice that a lot of the Ice Rider teams that do well have a Grimmsnarl on them. And this was really the early adopter of that as well.
Yes. Yeah, Darsh's team was a visionary, absolutely. And so next up, over in Melbourne, I think that one thing that I want to mention while we're over here, because I don't know if any of these teams had as big of an impact in terms of the Ice Rider teams. Joji's very strange Groudon one did not stick around. The body press imprison Lumberry Ice Rider. That one's a bit funky, but Bingji's team.
But Bingji's did. Yeah.
Yes. Bingji's team, what I liked about Bingji's team is that it broke a couple of rules that Miraidon teams had kind of self-imposed, and that was mainly the grass types. People look at a Miraidon team and say, you can't run these grass types with Miraidon. They have anti-synergy. Rillaboom's going to turn off your electric terrain. Amoonguss can't spore in electric terrain. But Bingji said, we've played with Amoonguss and the Tapus in the past. You're the one that's kind of controlling the game, or if the opponent wants to turn off the electric terrain with a Rillaboom, then their team is susceptible to Spore. Or you're playing against the opposing Miraidon and you want to be able to turn off their electric terrain. Rillaboom's there for you. I thought that Bingji's team was really cool for being ahead in that respect. Like Incin or Shifu, those guys are just, we've seen them, and this is the leftovers Ice Rider again, but I really liked that the grass types here being the rule breakers, but actually just giving the team more options was really cool.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Bingji, I think the version of the team that got a little more popular was the team that he got second place at Hong Kong with, which we don't have pulled up. But the notable thing about that team, we can just talk about that real quick, is that it had the Scarf Annihilate, which I believe also the other team that did well at Melbourne also had, right? Scott had one on a very different team.
Yeah, maybe. I believe it. But yeah, Andrew Ding ended up using something very close to it. I think Bingji's team is, close to what Karthik used here. Because it had the cover.
Of course, he has a team report on my YouTube channel. So if you want to learn about that team, you can learn it from there.
That is the
exclamation point YT in the chat, of course.
It's not working. It's very sad. I've been trying so hard.
Nightbot, where are you? Anyways, so yeah, going back to next up, Utrecht, and this is where Ice Rider Miraidon. I mean, you could say it peaked because it did literally win the tournament, and it had 2 appearances in top 4, also from Alexander here, with the Grimmsnarl version, and this one. This is where I feel like Fari and Grimmsnarl kind of like split the different paths of Ice Rider a bit. Mostly you saw Fari used with Clear Amulet, and you saw Grimmsnarl used a lot with the Leech Seed Leftovers. And the Grimmsnarl was here to, I don't know, they don't exactly like accomplish the exact same thing, Fari and Grimmsnarl. They're not interchangeable by any means, but they just like both they both contribute to strong playstyles that work around these Pokemon. Ice Rider and Miraidon are Pokemon that have very good stats, and in Miraidon's case, also typing, and so they can just kind of tank attacks really well. And this was kind of the case with Andrew Ding's team, but also this one is that screens generally don't do well against Urshifu, but Miraidon does really well against Urshifu, and so you're kind of keeping the Urshifu's in check by using just a Miraidon in general, and then the rest of the team just has Pokemon that are bulky behind screens and also support the type coverage that these Pokemon are going for. Water and Ice, very good. Ground is very good with Ice as well, and then of course Miraidon and Ice Rider just pairing well together as well. So I mean, there's just a bunch of different like type coverage pairings on this team.
I think to go a little bit more into the Grimmsnarl Farigiraf comparison, the reason that they kind of become interchangeable on teams like these is they do damage mitigation in different ways, where Grimmsnarl is, with screens, obviously, you're just straight up taking less damage. But with Farigiraf, and you're being, or have your entire team effectively immune to Fake Out, makes it so you are taking less damage because you're taking less attacks in the first place. For example, if you have Grimmsnarl on the field, you're taking Fake Out Astral Barrage versus Shadow Rider versus there could be a circumstance you don't have to take those attacks at all with Farigiraf. So they don't do the same thing at all, but they kind of fill that role of you are getting damage mitigation one way or another. It's just not directly and necessarily, it doesn't appear that way when you have Farigiraf. So that's why they kind of fill a similar role, is they need to mitigate damage in one way or another, just in very intricate ways with Farig compared to Grimmsnarl, which is much more straightforward.
And Michael especially deviated from the norm where a lot of people were running faster Miraidon. He ran like a super slow, super bulky Miraidon, which had been a thing on the Lunala teams and on the Ho-Oh teams, but was not really a thing on the Ice Rider teams. But paired with Grimmsnarl, now all of a sudden you can really leverage that bulk. You can't afford to take an attack because with the screen up, now you can maybe throw up a Thunder Wave and get a second attack off, right? And you can actually afford to take those attacks in a way that you couldn't when you were less bulky on Miraidon.
We also haven't mentioned, or like, this is a good time to mention the Incineroar. The main thing that Incineroar is doing in place of a, Iron Hands filling a similar role wearing the Assault Vest is, honestly, none of the stabs, not even Fake Out. It's simply just U-turn. Iron Hands does learn Volt Switch, but it doesn't do the same thing that Incineroar does. On top of that, what are like some of the main things that people want to switch in on Miraidon, but like those grass types like Rillaboom and Amoonguss and Flare Blitz pairs very well with that. But also, yeah, you want to Volt Switch out with your Miraidon, U-turn back in to get that terrain control, or just get your Miraidon back in, lock in a different move, or just stay out of dodge but keep it back on the field to keep up the pressure. U-turn is just so good, and I mean you can accomplish the same with Parting Shot, Incineroar, but yeah, basically just Incineroar being the best pivot in the format means that it's going to pair well with Miraidon, a restricted that loves to pivot. All right, so yeah, I don't know if any other. I'm gonna have to check. I don't know if any other Ice Rider teams broke out at this tournament. This one did not stick around. Funnily enough, Terapagos Ice Rider. It was already weird to begin with, in my opinion. But sure. And actually, yeah, I think Ice Rider had like a rather poor showing at this tournament. Besides, Michael's group there. It did all right. Let's see here. Yeah, nothing else that's like super commonplace or like had like a large lasting effect. So I think we'll move on.
No, but even nowadays, you see variants of Michael's team still doing very well. It's still, I think, one of the biggest threats going into Worlds is that team.
And Max ended up winning on the same weekend with a team very similar to Darsh's and Michael's in a way. Like, it's got the Volcarona. This is not Quiver Dance Volcarona, though. I feel like the Volcaronas bounce back and forth constantly between support and Quiver Dance. They can, you can definitely fit both on the team. But yeah, still rocking with Iron Hands here, but Grim Snarl. And yeah, in this case, instead of a Landorus, it is a Ursaluna, still kind of filling that ground type role. But yeah, this is I guess like there are some of the old ideas that were better in the early format, as well as like starting to move towards some of the newer ideas, like using screens with Ice Rider. Let's see.
But there's no other Ice Rider teams in Santiago.
Yeah, I believe it. I'm looking at it. Okay, so this is where yeah, I feel like we might have missed it at Milwaukee, but because I said that we were going to talk about Ice Rider Koraidon, I'm bouncing back because I realized that Gavin's team is going to make us talk about a different restricted. We didn't talk a lot about it. Kalen ended up going 9-2 in Milwaukee. And I don't know. I mean, this is probably like one of the peaks of the season for this archetype. I mean, a solid finish for Kalen here, getting top 32. But I don't know. Top 32s are not the teams that we spend the most time prioritizing beating in the builder. Like the ones that we want to make sure we have a good matchup into. This is a very good finish, and yeah, but that was the thing, is that Ice Rider Koraidon, it wasn't quite putting up the craziest numbers, and it was used by a number of strong players at Milwaukee, and it just didn't quite find the success that the archetypes that lasted a little longer did. So I think that's why people started to stray away from it.
Yeah, I think I considered bringing this to Milwaukee. I tested it pretty extensively, and I feel like these are more Koraidon teams than Ice Rider teams in a lot of ways. You see the Fluttermane, you see the Brute Bonnet, and the Chiyu. And Koraidon early format, and honestly, still it kind of has this problem where it doesn't really know what second restricted it really wants to run next to it. You really want to use your Protomons and your fire types and power through opponents' teams that way, and so your second restricted can feel supplemental on these teams. And Ice Rider did make a lot of sense as a way to beat some Tornadus teams, as a way to have a slower mode with your Iron Hands and Brute Bonnet. But yeah, clearly this is not the one that picked up. We've seen a lot more CSR with Koraidon in a much more fast-paced team. And we've seen, like Geo specifically use the Lunala teams as well. So this one did not end up sticking around very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the problems with Koraidon Ice Rider is those teams always were naturally extremely weak to opposing Ice Rider. And Calyrex Ice is not a Pokemon that does very well into itself. It sits there and clicks Glacial Lance for 6 turns in a row, and it just lives the entire time. So when you don't have any other Pokemon that can deal with the Ice Rider, and your best answer is itself, and it's not even a good answer to itself in the first place, it immediately starts to fall apart when teams are like intrinsically weak to one restricted Pokemon. That's very common.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I don't know. It also, I know that 2 special restricteds won NAIC, but I think that I just didn't like that it was 2 physical restricteds. That part always bothered me. But anyways, we talked earlier about water and ice being a good combo, and Gavin really put Ice Rider Kyogre on the map here at this tournament. Now, it was funny because Gavin wasn't completely alone. It did actually end up getting, we talked about it in previous top takes, but Carrie ended up doing well at the same tournament with the same pairing. So I guess it was a good weekend for this one, but it didn't completely fade after that. This is still one that I think we're seeing some solid results from. So, yeah, the thing about these teams is they are, I mean, specifically Gavin's, it's built quite differently than the Ice Rider teams that we were looking at before. Amoonguss is here still on both of them. And we're seeing it on Miraidon teams now, but we're not quite there yet. I don't know. I'm kind of having a tough time like breaking down this one. Of course, this is another team that's has a team report on Audie's YouTube channel. So if you want to know more about Gavin's team here, you can go check that out featured there. But yeah, I guess I'll throw it over to you, Audie. Do you have a better like kind of breakdown of this team and like what caused it to succeed?
Yeah, I talked to Gavin a little bit as he was building it, because he was not going to Milwaukee, but he was very high on ladder going into Milwaukee with this team. And Nails used it at Milwaukee, and I was talking to them about it. The Ice Rider is super, super bulky. It's like, I think it's impish, if I recall correctly.
Right.
It's not even adamant.
Relax.
And
Relax.
oh, sorry,
Saved-
relax. Yes.
saved it, yeah.
And so you are really like, he really embraced the idea that, you can just take, it's okay if your glacial lances are intimidated. It's okay if you're doing 20% with the glacial lance, but then because you're also doing leech seed and you're chipping away 20-30% every turn, but you're also never dying with your screens and with your and with your recovery, with your leftovers, and so with your pollen puff from Amoonguss. And so that was kind of the mentality where you just kind of throw damage at them and then you get your Ice Rider to clean up. To the point where at Milwaukee, this version of the team was very Grimmsnarl forward, very reliant on that Grim Ice Rider mode to win the game. And then as I think he switched out, he said once he switched out Urshifu for Basket Legion, the game plan has changed entirely, and Grimmsnarl became his least brought Pokemon because he was just he was able to overpower people with the Basket Legion, which is cool. Basket Legion, I don't think many people have experimented with outside of the Gavin Nails team building group. But yeah, I think that when I was talking to him about it, he kind of said that Kyogre, Ice Rider, Amoonguss, Basket Legion were the core of the team. Fluttermane and Grimmsnarl were more matchup Pokemon, and we're going to see Nails do up with the newer version of this team at NAIC as well. So this team does have some staying power, and I wouldn't be surprised to see more people try it out because I think it's really good, and I think it's still a little under the radar. People are not looking at Kyogre, Ice Rider as one of the teams to beat going into Worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one thing about this one that's also... Go ahead, Billy.
Yeah, I think that this team, I genuinely, when you look at it, it does very much so capitalize on how Basket Legion is a very underutilized Pokemon. Because a lot of people they write it off as a Reg H Pokemon that doesn't exactly exist anymore. And you can very quickly forget that Last Respects is a 200 base power move under the right circumstances. And you'll notice, yeah, if Rain is still up, you don't have a matchup for it, and it kind of creates the similar things with Miraidon, where there is a very massive speed sandwich in between Basket Legion and Kyogre and Ice Rider. So it kind of exploits the fact that no matter what speed tier your Pokemon are at, they can be taken advantage of. And it really just kind of capitalizes on that, especially with Kyogre being a very middling speed tier restricted, where you kind of just are never in a spot where you really enjoy the speed tiers, and it always makes it very awkward and uncomfortable for your opponents for that reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree with that. It kind of is just all across the board between Amoonguss being so slow and Basket Legion being so fast. It's got all of it covered. Also, Pokemon Ranger Emerald mentions in the chat the Rhyperior version that was used in one of the Japanese qualifiers. It was definitely funny. I don't think it had a lot of large scale impact, unfortunately, but it was super goofy. And then,
it had a large scale impact on my YouTube feed. I'll tell you that. I saw a lot of it.
Yeah. Of course. And then Carrie's team here, we didn't mention it too much, but this one sticks with the Urshifu. Uses Jugulus, which we'll actually see. I think Nails has that on his team at NAIC. And does things a little bit differently because this is not that Leech Seed Ice Rider. This is Never Melt Ice with Seed Bomb, funnily enough. Couldn't get enough grass coverage with Rillaboom, so, got a little bit extra. And yeah, this just it aims to cover the resists for ice and water as well as possible because, yeah, they can't hit other water types, so you have Thunder, Seed Bomb, and a whole Rillaboom to do that as well. Kind of funny that way.
I think in hindsight, also, most Kyogres had been Ice Beam or Thunder on these teams. Gavin was one of the first people to really run triple water move on their Kyogre, which is now much more common as well.
Right. Yeah, people realized that resists are fake, and why hit super effective damage when you could just click the move that's good. And I think that's much better, honestly. It is a lot more threatening. And then in terms of other Ice Rider teams at Portland specifically, let me have a look. Ice right there.
Junshi's team.
Yep. Groudon was the most popular one in Top Cut representation.
Number
yes.
10, yeah.
Yeah, so
this team. So again, we saw, I think it was Joji cut a regional with Groudon Ice Rider, and now we see this, and I think it actually did okay at NAIC as well. There were a couple of day twos. It's like sneaking under the radar. I don't know if it's good. I think it has more synergy with Groudon than it does Koraidon, and I think Groudon has the same thing where, you're really using Groudon because you really want to abuse your Flutter Mane and your Chi-Yu and your Raging Bolt. And so your second restricted is like almost a little expendable. It's not the mod that you bring that often. Whereas if you're running Pluff, Flutter Mane, Raging Bolt, Chi-Yu, I don't think you get to drop the Groudon very often, but you do get to drop the Calyrex a decent amount. And so when it is a little more situational, the Calyrex size can really be teched out to deal with the exact situations that you needed to, and that's kind of what we see here with a very unorthodox Calyrex size set. But I think it fits really well on this team and allows it to cover where the matchups where you need it, and then other matchups you just get to jump left Flutter Mane through teams as well. So cool team. Lots and lots of different takes on Calyrex Ice Groudon, as we're going to see, that have kind of been simmering under the radar. And so I'm curious if people are going to embrace this more moving forward.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the rest of the teams. Go ahead, Billy.
Yeah, notably how I pointed out that Koraidon is traditionally very weak into opposing Ice Rider, and the teams were that one just says, you know what, I am going to make my Calyrex Ice extremely good into yours, and just throws Imprison on there. And I believe it was a very fast Imprison. Like I remember people saying it was almost like 90 speed Calyrex to make sure that you were always outspeeding and getting the Imprison off, or as like kind of a tech into the mirror for that reason.
That makes sense. I mean, the team is very Glacial Lance weak otherwise. Chi-Yu is your best resist. That's a tough look. All right. One other team, though, because Blinken, you might miss it, is Aaron Trailer here using Hard Trick Room. Hard Trick Room is not doing that well, personally, in my opinion. And we're going to see, I think one decent NAIC finish from it when we get there. But it's not one that has had a very large-scale impact. But if you're doing it, it usually looks something like this, with Lunala being the other restricted. Not a lot of Necrozma Dawn Wings. I think people tried that out a bit more early on, but Dawn Wings, I think the main thing is Shadow Shield is just a lot more impactful than Prison Armor. Being able to take any huge hit and have it can be amazing. Right, this did win a tournament in Asia. I believe Johnny.
It won Taiwan. Yeah, Taiwan Nats.
Yes. And so teams like this with double choice sweepers to come in once the trick room is set up, decorate Smeargle to cause all kinds of problems, psychic terrain to stop the priority moves. I mean, it's just your classic hard trick room, just trying to get it done in 4 turns, or maybe be able to set up a second one with either of the 2 redirection Pokemon, or you can double trick room if you're feeling fancy. But
I think this team is going to struggle if you bring it to Worlds for no other reason than it's very Smeargle forward, and all of a sudden now Smeargle is on a lot of other teams, and people are going to be prepping the Smeargle matchup. And those other teams, if you're running CSR, Zama, Heartflame, Tornadus, or whatever, you have enough tools to win even without the Smeargle. Whereas this team, you have, I don't really know how the team plays. Obviously, you do have a second mode at the Indeedee, but you are pretty reliant on getting one of your 2 redirectors to get Trick Room up. And if people start tacking a little more for that, it might be a little harder for this team to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
It notably is also the thing that makes that made this team very strong is how easy it was to get away with just clicking decorate on Smeargle, because some of the original hard trick room teams all the way back in Reg G, some of them were fast and some were slow. But it was a lot easier to find yourself in a lot of situations where decorate was kind of an unpunishable play. Whereas you can very easily get punished extremely heavily for clicking decorate, regardless of your speed stat. And because of the fact that it prioritized getting decorate off so much to be able to end the game in 4 turns very easily, and it's not nearly as reliable in a format that we're currently in, it kind of makes Hard Trick Room go back into that gimmick mode of, oh, your redirector is going to die, and then you have to figure it out from there. And then if your opponent gets a couple reads right or gets 1 double protect, you lose the game immediately. And it makes Hard Trick Room a lot more difficult to play for those reasons.
Yep. 100%. So, not one that I expect a big finish from at Worlds, but I do think that it's just people's favorite. So there will be at least a couple of people who bring it or something like it to Worlds. Over in Bologna, another good tournament for Calyrex Shadow. So Calyrex Ice, what was happening with it? Let's have a look and see any teams that stand out. Yeah, Santiago Molina, the best finishing Ice Rider team here, and it has the treads. Not something that I think sticks around a ton, but I think that we'll see it a little bit at NAIC. Treads, notably a good mirror breaker. It's very good against both Ice Rider and Miraidon. So it makes sense if you don't want to have to rely on your restricteds being teched out for the mirror, having to worry, like, do I have to put a bunch of speed creep to be ready for their Miraidon? Do I have to make sure that my Ice Rider is slower or faster than theirs in Trick Room? Instead, you can just be like, actually, Iron Treads is going to ruin your life running it that way. And it can help out against some other matchups, too. Treads is a funny Pokemon. So, yeah, other than that, though, I don't know if...
It almost feels like the a Volcarona and a Landorus in one slot in some ways. You see a lot of teams like this running either Volcarona or Orlando, and here instead you get to run, I think, like Instant and Treads, which kind of is some amount of roll compression there.
Right. Yeah, there's more Treads here than I don't know, a lot of these other ones. I mean, the Ho-Oh team, we saw that go on to no. Yeah, I think that Ice Rider didn't have the best showing in this tournament, and I think a lot of the ones that did do well were just teams that either featured Torterra or we'd seen before. Okay. So then after Bologna came NAIC, and this is where we get to the last major stage in development for Calyrex Ice, of course, because Korea and Japan definitely had an impact as well. I don't have those ones ready to go, but I might pull them up in a sec. But for NAIC, I guess we knew about the Korea team going into it. Let me go ahead and see if I can find that one. The Ice type boost. That's I think Kenneth has it. Yeah, it looks like this. This is, I think, the team almost exactly that ended up winning Korea Nationals, and this one is a pretty cool one because it's doing things almost like a blend of a couple of different ideas. It's like the Lunala Whimsicott team that ended up winning the whole thing in NAIC. Whimsicott doing some similar stuff here, doing some new stuff here as well with Tickle. Tickle, kind of a funny combo here, and the Landorus also had Crunch. These are mostly just like tech moves that I don't think had any kind of large scale impact. The main thing here is that Whimsicott was being used on Ice Rider Miraidon teams when, for the most part, it was Grimmsnarl or kind of like Fari in the support role, but this was a different support being used with these guys. So going back to NAIC though, just sorting by regular Ice Rider. Kazuki Kobayashi was the best finishing Ice Rider, and this one, I think, kind of just shows that at this point, the Pokemon that most Ice Rider Miraidon teams are locked in on are Incineroar and Urshifu, and that's like not very interesting to say out loud. Of course, it's just like, wow, those are good Pokemon, crazy. But I think that it took a little bit to get there, and like also the thing about that is that all of them, like literally all four of them, are playing a bit of like item roulette or item musical chairs, and that drastically plays into how the team functions. On top of that, whatever the primary support role Pokemon is doing can also weigh in. If it's a Whimsicott, if it's a Grimmsnarl, if it's an Amoonguss. We're going to talk about an Amoonguss in a second here. But yeah, this ended up being Scarf Urshifu, Classic Specs Miraidon, AB Incident, Leftovers Cali Ice. But, you put a Clam on the Ice Rider, a Scarf on the Miraidon, and, you're starting to look at a team like Michael's, which, Michael only ended up getting top 64, but probably had the largest metagame impact, at least in recent weeks. We're not going much past, NAIC, but the VictoryRoad tournaments have showed that this is the version that most people are liking to play. This is the one that's really catching on. And just as I was mentioning about items, you know, all those items are different. Even Urshifu is not Choice Scarf anymore because, of course, Miraidon took it. Still Assault Vest and Incineroar, but yeah, just shows that like the teams can play very differently based off of what items they have. So
yeah, and Michael, I think won the regional with the same 6 Pokemon. But if you watch this matchup, especially in finals, the CSR matchup, so the CSR's matchup is really, really tough. Alexander, who's also
right?
on the same team, same 5. Sorry. Yes, but I think the big thing that changed the CSR's matchup is running Choice Scarf on Miraidon, which is interesting because I've been laddering and I feel like I still see mostly Choice Specs Miraidon. But I think the Choice Scarf one is very, very threatening on teams like this that can struggle into the CSR teams. I think that just kind of flips the matchup on its head, where now you have the fastest thing on the field and you're constantly threatening a knockout if you can position it correctly. And you can get some pins with this plus the Rillaboom plus Ice Rider into Rillaboom. So yeah, I think this version is the team to beat going into Worlds for me, at least on the Ice Rider side of things. Obviously, CSR Zama probably the other team to beat. But this one's, I've got my eye on this team for sure, based on the results of the grassroots tournaments after Worlds or after NASE.
Right. We saw it in this VictoryRoad that you linked here,
and then while we're at it, we can look at the second and third place team because they are very similar as well, and they have a Volcarona in the ice right in the what was that, the Landorus slot. But otherwise are pretty much the exact same team. And this is the other version of this team that I think is very common and very strong. And that's why I was talking about Iron Treads as sort of the catch-all in the Lando and Volcarona slot. You kind of need that slot to do a couple different things, and one of those things is, I guess, beating opposing fire types. I guess I'm not really an Ice Rider Miraidon player, so I couldn't tell you, but it seems like people are switching this Pokemon out interchangeably.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I should ask you guys this. What are the strengths and weaknesses of running Vulcan and Lando in that slot? What do you think is better?
I believe the main reason you would run Volcarona versus Landorus is Volcarona is notably very good into Shadow Rider Zamazenta, and so if you feel that matchup is quite flawed for your team, then having additional checks to it is very good because QD, especially with Electric Seed, is very consistent into that archetype. Versus Lando excels into obviously any sort of Miraidon mirror match, whether that be Miraidon Lunala, Miraidon Ice Rider, Miraidon Zamazenta, and just opposing Zamazenta in general. It is generally very good into. So depending on what you want to excel into on your team, whether that be you feel you're weak into mirrors or you feel like you're weak into Shadow Rider Zamazenta, would be kind of the determining factor if you're deciding in between those two Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
Right.
I think the Volk is also not that bad into the mirror, especially if you're playing against a like non-Leech Seed one. I know that Leech Seed can be stopped by the Grass Terra, but then of course you can be weak to the Glacial Lance. Whereas the high horsepower one, if it's just clicking high horsepower Glacial into an Electric Seed Volcarona, it can kind of just disrespect the opposing Ice Rider and focus on beating the rest of the team. The Miraidon not going to be able to make enough of an impact if the Volcarona gets up Quiver Dances. It's a very solid mirror breaker in that way. You don't love to bring your Urshifu against a Volcarona that can also Terra Grass and Giga Drain you. So yeah. Whereas Landorus, much better at providing the coverage that Ice Rider needs because you look at Ice Rider and Volcarona, and they both don't love an Incineroar switching in. This one does have high horsepower, but Landorus would get rid of that Incineroar in one hit, whereas these guys are going to have to do much more gradual progress against an opposing Incineroar. And so that's where the trade-offs really play in.
That is also another thing too. Is most teams that have Volcarona, they will almost guarantee to be clear Amulet on Calyrex, just because you do need that sort of extra instant hate. Whereas leftovers, it's kind of a toss up for what item they will be running, or like Never Melt Ice versus Clear Amulet will almost always have, or if you're Volcarona, you will almost always have a Clear Amulet just to make sure that you have at least a more sufficient Incineroar matchup than you would versus having it with Landorus. You can kind of disrespect it.
And so between this this team, the MDB team, and Bezod's team, Bingji's team, a couple of different teams. We talked about the Bingji team earlier. people realize that yeah, Amoonguss is actually pretty good on a team that wants to be switching a lot. That's the main thing. And then Amoonguss is also the little gremlin that basically you say like, all right, Miraidon is keeping Amoonguss in check, and it's your responsibility to make sure that electric terrain stays up. If you want to turn off the electric terrain, I'm going to click Spore. I'm going to click Spore a lot. You can also, of course, not set up electric terrain early in the battle and just Spore things with your Amoonguss. But yeah, people just couldn't quite get over the Amoonguss Miraidon quote anti-synergy until NAIC, besides specifically Bingji. And now we're seeing it used quite often together. And I think it just works out really well because you end up with like strong fire, water, grass cores, if this is like Urshifu water, paired with a dragon type with Miraidon. And I mean, why wouldn't you want to be able to switch your Amoonguss out, get regenerator healing, volt switch, or U-turn back into your Amoonguss, and it's just, healing for free and keeping your opponent guessing. It feels super, super strong on those teams, Amoonguss. So, let's see, what other ones? So that was kind of Bezos' team. We did talk about this team, and honestly, I'm going to have to throw it over to you, Billy. Billy, I haven't really been seeing it. Do you think it's going to have a lasting impact, or do you think this team kind of did its thing and is moving out?
In terms of the core that is not Sneasler, I could definitely see the other 5 Pokemon being incredibly strong because
Right.
Assault Vest Miraidon with screens, it doesn't need a Lunala next to it to be good. It is just a generally very good Pokemon. Being able to switch moves, that was one thing that me and like Marcus especially were like really adamant on. Is, oh yeah, being able to switch moves is really good with a Pokemon that has a delete button of any or of Electric and Dragon typing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, in terms of the longevity, I think Caesar was kind of just a fun Pokemon to use for the time being, but the rest of the core is very good. Ice Rider Instant Miraidon has always been incredibly strong. No one has ever like denied that,
Right.
and it almost when the final pieces were decided on the team, Grimmsnarl and Ditto in by themselves are a very strong duo. Just with screens plus speed control because you have Thunder Wave is very strong as a duo by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost think that they could work on other teams as well, not just Ice Rider Miraidon teams specifically. Because it is just a very good, oh, I don't have a matchup for this team, but I'm just gonna make my I'm gonna copy whatever is problematic for them, and then I'm just gonna Thunder Wave it so I move first anyway. And I have screen, so I'm still taking not as much damage as you would think I would be taking. And it became very problematic into a lot of people because they would realize that oh well, Ice Rider Miraidon have chipped half of my team, and now Ditto comes in and it just sweeps it just sweeps entire teams because oh, I'm copying the +3 Shadow Rider that's already Thunder Wave, so it's not even a speed tie that I have to opt into, or oh, I have a +2 Zamazenta behind Reflect now, so it's taking 30% from his body press. And there were a lot of board states that this team was able to set up extremely well, especially with the pivoting from Incineroar, and the Miraidon was very slow. So all of these very fast, very strong restricteds, you could get the Ditto in safely very easily. And
Right.
Ditto is very, very capable of capitalizing, especially with Grimmsnarl, if you are able to position it correctly. And that
Right.
is something that this team does extremely well, is able to position whatever it needs to very well, very easily.
Yep.
So yeah, Sneasler was more the you want to compensate for, like, we wanted to compensate for Assault Vest not doing as much damage as Choice Specs, and what does more damage than Choice Specs ever could? Acid Spray. And it is the fastest Pokemon essentially in the format. Unless you're running Choice Scarf, Regieleki for whatever the case may be, you literally cannot get faster than this Pokemon. So
Mm-hmm.
it breaking every single speed ceiling that anyone would even theoretically think is possible into every line that they would possibly imagine made it very easy made it very easy to exploit people's game plans because their game plans are not around a 310 speed fake out or a 310 speed 120 base power fighting move. And it caught it caught a lot of people off guard because they didn't expect Sneasler to actually be a usable Pokemon, and it was definitely very strong for the time. But now that people expect Sneasler, they've seen the team before. I don't know how much longevity it has as a Pokemon itself,
Yeah.
but I do think the rest of the team is very strong in itself and has a lot of arguments for being a very strong team to look out for.
Right. Right. Ditto, just very good with the pivoting options. I think that's a very important part of it, and of course, really good with Grimmsnarl. But specifically the pivoting options that Miraidon and Incineroar on the team offer, I like that part a lot. And then yeah, we talked about Nails appearing. I'm just checking that I haven't missed anything. Tommy did well. We talked about to him on the show, and yeah, he had the Among Us stuff that we are talking about. Landorus on this one again, just kind of like item roulette. Like in this case, Landorus is holding the choice scarf. This is not Claire Amulet, but leftovers Ice Rider, and so on. And then also sometimes Terras switch around, different Urshifu. But yeah, Nails' team. This one is very similar to the Gavin team with some minor updates of different Pokemon, but still just kind of showing its continued success. And then speaking of White Whale, the team that Alex Gomez used with a group of players here. I think if you click specifically,
Yeah.
There we go. Not Noah Carney though. You
Like
grab the Moose.
It's a crazy stacked group of players for none of them to make top cut. So like I'm almost like writing this team off because of that. But
Right.
yeah, Alex, Joji, Junchi, Kent, Chengfu, and Shiliang all brought the team. And few 9-3s is not bad, but it's not the best performance for these guys.
Right. So, but it's still one that like because of like name recognition you might see out there a little bit because people look at these names and they say these are strong players. I want to try out their teams. Will it have a huge splash at the World Championships? Maybe not exactly, but teams that make like maybe improvements to these teams or spin-offs could definitely work. I mean, it's just Instant Amoongus plus Restricteds. Like that's gonna be strong. Let's see other teams because of course there's got to be more. It's IIC.
I think like Andrew Ding's team is maybe representative of a bigger trend in top 64 where he's running Water Pond and that started to pick up again. The very top of top 64. So you guys obviously ran Water Pond at the first regional of the format, and I've seen a smattering of it here and there. But between Ding doing quite well with it, he said he got pretty unlucky in the Winternin, losing to the eventual winner in Fede. And then also Agati did really well on a non-Ice Rider team with the Water Pond. It seems like this is starting to pick up a little more on these Ice Rider teams, especially as like Kyogre continues to do well in the format. I think it's I'm not an Ice Rider expert, but it seems like this is a kind of a catch-all option that not only gets to hit Incineroars, gets to hit Volcaronas that are very common, gets to kind of wall Kyogres. Just has a lot of different applications that some of these teams might need.
I was curious if Dylan changed a thing. It looks like I don't know if Bugwez was there before. Otherwise it looks very similar. Yeah, Water Pond, I don't know, I haven't really been seeing it. That's the thing. Even though it does do some cool stuff, like just definitely not seeing a lot of people using it. But and that's not me trying to downplay it because I'm looking at it myself. Like I don't know. I've not been playing I've been playing games and I'm not seeing Water Pond used, so yeah, I think then let's move past this one.
Well,
go ahead.
You got one more. You gotta scroll all the way down to top 256. I think it made day 2. It's the Reshiram. The Reshiram Hunter.
No, shut up. Oh, Water Pond's here again.
What do you mean? Yeah, see, it's definitely real.
Yeah,
will we be seeing Reshiram Ice Rider at the World Championships?
I'll use this tab to tab over to Liberty Note to talk about the last couple that we've seen before we move on, which is the this one again, kind of just like a bunch of the same similar Pokemon. Like we've seen Landorus on this, and now Volcarona. I've got no comments on that one. Arubega, of course, a player that's going to have a impact, and I think the main thing about Arubega's team that I wanted to mention is specifically the Miraidon. The Miraidon kind of doing funny new stuff, like new challenger approaches. Nobody was really using Life Orb Terra Electric Miraidon. And the fun thing about that one is that it does do more damage than Specs. So if people are EVing to live Specs, you might just die to this Terra Electric Electro Drift. And it also gets like some of the benefits of like the other Miraidons that were running Terra Electric. Like it's still a decent defensive Terra. It sheds some weaknesses, and because this Miraidon, the only Miraidon that runs Protect, it has other ways to keep your opponent guessing and maybe disrupt some of their counterplays if it involved Miraidon locking into a move on turn 1, or being able to always target it and threaten it out of the field. If it can just protect, that really might change the game for it. So I thought that was kind of cool and worth a mention.
I do believe that Whimsicott is also doubling down on the tickle, because I don't believe that is Encore. I remember I forgot who it was,
This
but
one?
I think someone sent me the paste, and I believe that is not Encore, and that is it's still Tickle Whimsicott.
So this is the Japanese character for Ah. This is N. This is Ko, and this is Ru. It's Encore.
So yeah, I did see a version of this team that just did not have Encore Whimsicott.
No, I've seen some tickles. I've definitely seen some ticklers.
Yeah.
The Korean one had tickle as well, right?
Yeah, I would have to check that. But yeah.
No, the Korean winning team I know for a fact had Encore. Encore is very cool. I don't know if we talked about it enough when we talked about the Korean one. I think I have it here. Tickle. Tickle, very funny to pair with your Urshifu or your Ice Rider or even your Crunch Landorus, I actually had that come up in one game when I was testing it out myself. I tickled a Electric Seed Lunala and then crunched it, and I was like, this is awesome. I'm loving life. This is hilarious. Yeah, Endeavor, Whimsicott, that's also solid sometimes too. And so yeah, I feel like that mostly catches us up on the different teams now. I think that a lot of people are focusing on using the MDB team or this Volcarona variant. And there are definitely still people using Leech Seed Leftovers Ice Rider as well. That one hasn't disappeared or anything. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is like there's so many different Shadow Rider Zamazenta teams that we were talking about and how they like all play quite differently with their partners and stuff. I think that in a similar way, Ice Rider Miraidon teams, they juggle the items around in a crazy way. They change their Terras in ways that really influence the matchups, and that can be definitely difficult to cover with just a single slot on a team or a single move or something, whatever. Like you're gonna have to have ideas of how to beat multiple Ice Rider Miraidon teams because they play very differently. But yeah, any other things that I left out about Ice Rider Miraidon in particular? Do you guys think?
I think this was a pretty good overview. This is like most of the stuff that we've seen so far this season. There's a lot of different stuff. It feels like it's rotating in and out of popularity, with things like Farigiraf coming in and out, things like the item choices changing over time. It really is, but it really is a lot to cover going into Worlds. It feels a little overwhelming because there's so many different things that can change. Leech Seed becoming a thing, and then now Clear Amulet being more popular is another big one where you have to play those matchups very differently. So there's just been a lot to go over, and yeah, again, since all three of us are prepping for Worlds, it's been a lot to try to deal with. So yeah, it's been cool to see. Who knows what's going to do well at Worlds? I guess if you guys want to talk about what you expect to do well at Worlds without talking about what you're actually using at Worlds, you could do that. But I think we talked about what's been done so far pretty well.
I would tell you, Adi, if I knew myself. That's the problem. I wish I knew the best version of Ice Rider Miraidon right now. I don't, but we're gonna continue to work towards it. The problem is again those items. I would not say I have a good read on which one is like projected to do better. I think it wouldn't be remotely shocking to see like both Clear Amulet and Leftovers in like top 16. Like both featured like not even like one of them doing really well and the other one doing very poorly. I think that it's going to be hard for everyone to completely invalidate one or the other or both. And so, yeah, it's just going to have enough strength to make deep runs. What about you, Billy?
I do think variety will change a lot. Also, the Never Melt Ice, it's not the most popular option as well, but that was also represented in top 16 of
Right.
NAIC as well as another one that could still stay around. It's kind of more so the one-off teams you'll see. Like it did get it did get top 4 at Portland as well as another
Yep.
notable result that it had for it. So there are a couple other like more
In
niche
one Korea.
ones. You have the citrus berry like crazy sets as well that like you could see the people trying to pull like a one-off crazy shot in the dark at Worlds for some very niche items. But I do think generally speaking, if I were to say which two items would always just be the objectively best two, I think Clearamid and Leftovers will definitely see the most representation for Ice Rider generally speaking.
Yeah. Also, Topo, thank you for the raid. We are kind of wrapping up Tub Takes here. We're breaking down Ice Rider, Miraidon teams, as well as some of the other Ice Rider comps in the format. We did talk a little bit about Hard Trick Room, though I don't know if we covered any of Topo's teams specifically. But anyways, another question in the chat here from Lil Wayne is the GOAT. Thoughts on AV Ice Rider? It's definitely funny. I think that it can be a consideration. One of the biggest concerns with AV Ice Rider is not like that it can't protect or whatnot. It's actually just like we talked about Miraidon and Incineroar being very commonplace on the Ice Rider teams, and they both really want it, or like one of them is going to want it. So the fact that Ice Rider's taking a very good item from one of these two Pokemon is already a bit of a tough start. But yeah, from there, there's like other issues. Of course, your Ice Rider can't protect. And with it being such a naturally slow speed stat, that can cause some issues. But it's still viable.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's not like completely terrible or anything. So.
Also, to everyone who is tuning in from Topo's stream, or just tuning in now as we're gonna play the Calcus right next, but we're gonna be wrapping up in the next 20 minutes or so. You can check the entire episode out on YouTube tomorrow. And I'd say exclamation point YT in chat, except this has not been working all stream for some reason. But yeah, it's over on my YouTube channel, CK49. If you want to hear us talk about and break down every single Ice Rider variant that's done well so far this season and what to expect moving forward into the World Championships.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, with that, I think I'm actually going to move us over to Calc is right. Did that work delayed or?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, did you just copy paste that from somewhere? All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the Calcus, right? Adi, I believe you said you wanted to start off with Milotic.
I said I wanted to do a Milotic Calc, and I was like, why are they running Hydro Pump over Scald, right? We gotta figure that one out. So let's do Milotic Calc. It's just gonna be 4 special attack, bold, Milotic. That's a +2. Click in Hydro Pump into Calc default AV Instant, which I have pulled up. It is 228 HP, 92 special defense, neutral nature, Assault Vest, Incineroar. How much is your +2 Hydro Pump doing?
All right, I think I am ready.
I think I have an idea.
All right, Alex, what you got?
It's still not killing. I'm gonna give it 85.
85. And Billy, what do you think?
I think it's almost getting there, but it's not quite getting there. I'm gonna say 92.
92. All right. Calc default Instant, Calc default Milo. It's very easy.
Okay. And it should plug it in correct. Oh my god, they're EV'd for it. No. Wait. Also, did I sneak in there?
You did, yeah. You say 85.
All right. I just got the low roll.
Hey, I was dead center. I managed to get that one pretty correct.
You nailed that. All right, Billy, do you happen to have a calc ready?
Oh, well, I have to do a Sawaddle calc. I think that's kind of required.
Yeah.
With, on theme. So, we'll say you were able to break the Shadow Shield on Lunala, and you have Sword of Ruin on the field with Chen Pao. How much are we saying a Terra Ghost Terra Blast Sword of Ruin boosted or from Sawaddle is doing to Lunala when Shadow Shield is broken?
No, it doesn't have electric seed.
Lunala.
Yeah, no, with no Shadow Shield.
What about the seed?
And no seed boost.
Oh, yes, with seed boost. We'll say with seed boost.
Seed boost, okay. Electric seed. We have sort of room. What's the investment on? We got to do the investment.
We'll
on
do
both.
we'll do with the same investment, which I think was like 244 Jolly, and we'll just do the Tang spread for the Lunala spread.
Is that in the calc?
So I think it's Calc default. I think it's like 130 HP or like 120 HP.
All right,
like
132 HP,
defense.
172 defense. We don't get to look up Swaddle's attack stat though, Adi. We gotta do our best.
I have no idea what Sawaddle's attack stat is.
Not
God.
high.
Terra Ghost, Choice Scarf, no investment, I assume.
No, we
Terra
said
Blast.
it had investment.
244.
Oh,
244.
we said 244 attack.
Yeah,
Terra Blast. Oh my God. What
With
do you think Sawaddle's
with Sword of Ruin?
With Sword of Ruin.
Sword of Ruin as well.
I have a number, but I want to ask Alex, what do you think? And I'm locked in. What do you think Sawaddle's attack stat is?
I've locked in my number as well. I'm guessing it has like 35 or something. I don't know.
That's kind of what I thought. I thought it was probably going to be like 30.
It is 53.
Okay.
Oh my God. All right. Well, I've locked in my number, so
I'm not changing. Yeah, Billy, pick one of us to start.
Let's go with Adi.
I think it's doing 60%.
All right. I'll be the inverse because I have 45. I'm saying it's less than half. So Waddle blank set. I'm gonna go 244. Change that Terra to Ghost. It is Terra'd. It's going for Terra Blast, and then let's lower the HP down so the shield is broken. And Sword of Ruin. No way! Wait, no, hold on.
You forgot the +1.
It doesn't have the +1.
But I think that means I'm in range. Yeah.
Oh, Adi nails it. It's a 2-hit KO. It's a 2-hit KO.
It is a 2-hit KO.
Dang. That's pretty beautiful. 53. Okay, 53's
53.
better than I thought. Did we see anything else fun come out of that VictoryRoad tournament? I mean, there was obviously all kinds of crazy stuff, and also all kinds of crazy, boring stuff. There's a Raichu, right? Oh, Specs Gastrodon! Of course, Specs Gastrodon. All right. Specs Gastrodon going for what would be a okay. Let's go with a Raging Bolt. Let me figure out which one. I'm gonna see what like Terra Fairy, AV. No, I want Booster Energy Offense. Sure, whatever. Let's just do a very boring spread. Just max HP Bolt. It's got Force F, I guess. So max HP Force F Bolt. How much is it taking from a Gastrodon? I'm going to say max special attack modest earth power. It's taking a specs max special attack modest earth power from this Gastrodon. How much is it doing to this Bolt?
You said max special attack Gastrodon?
Yeah, it's got max. It's all the investment. It wants to hit hard.
I think I got a number.
I think I got a number 2.
All right, Billy, we'll start with you.
Without AV, I think that is super dead. I'm gonna say it does 123%.
All right, Adi, are you also in this camp?
I'm in this. I also think it's killing, but I think it's doing a little less. I think it's doing 110.
All right. The only reason I mentioned it is I was like, I have a little bit of faith in Bolt, or like maybe anti-faith in Gastrodon. I was kind of like, is it that much stronger than Landorus just because it's wearing a choice specs? And yeah, we're looking at what did you say, Adi?
I said 110. I'm in the range.
All right, you're in there. But it actually is a roll to kill. Like it might just not kill.
That is such a crazy roll because it's almost 20% damage and difference for what you might be doing versus not doing.
Yes. Well, to be fair, the 12% over 100 is meaningless because it can't die. The HP's not going to change. But yeah, that's super goofy. I actually wanted to be more impressed by this, but this is actually very sad. And like this is a bad bolt spread too. Like I don't know. Just goofy. Tough look though. All right, that's gonna be it for this week's Tub Takes though. So thank you again for joining us, Billy.
Of course, happy to be here.
Yeah, we covered Ice Rider teams in general this week. So we'll cover some more of the top metagame teams next week. You know, there's a couple of different restricted
Chat,
teams.
what do you want us to cover next? What do you want us to cover next? You
That's a good
gotta
question.
comment down below, because I honestly don't know. These are the top 2 teams. There's a few different teams in the next tier that I'm we got to pick one.
I was in agreement. These are like the most obvious ones to cover, and so now it's like where to from here. But yeah, just let us know here in the Twitch chat before we wrap up, or in YouTube. When is the Worlds draft? Definitely closer to Worlds. But I do want to get one going for that. It would be a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun. Zekrom, of course, yes. Zekrom
Right.
paired with Kiram Black. That sounds like a good pairing.
Does it let you do that?
I had to think myself.
Like, yeah,
is that
surely.
legal? It's legal. It's legal. You do need 2 Zekroms. It would be legal. Also, you have to ask what's stopping you from just using Baxcalibur instead, because like, Kiram Black
Honestly, can't argue with that. Can't argue with that.
Who said we're not running Baxcalibur too?
Yeah, and Raging Bolt.
Right.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, I'll take a second to figure out who we're gonna go ahead and throw the raid over to, because Topo raided us. Oh, Adi found somebody. Dark
I know,
Devil.
right? Normally we send it to Topo. We got Dark Devil 26, who looks like he's playing the Win in a limitless tour. So
Nice.
maybe he'll be playing some more. Maybe he'll make it to Top Cut and he'll keep streaming.
Go root for him and send our well wishes. And otherwise, we'll catch you guys next week. Peace out, peeps.